Alright, this video is intended to help you go through these review problems to prepare for the Chapter 9 test. So as you need to pause, make sure you're doing that so you can actually do the work and keep track of how to do these problems. So start with number 14. You're supposed to find the area of this. It's a parallelogram. So we're going to start with our parallelogram formula. Area equals base times height. Second step, I'm going to multiply the base times the height. Okay, and I kind of switch those numbers around. Really, 12 is your base, 4 is your height. But I should be able to multiply those in any order and get the same answer. So my area is 48. Last thing, make sure you label it with meters squared. Okay, moving on. Next problem is number 19. So this time it's asking for what is the height of a parallelogram shaped pattern block shown below. Notice you know the area, which is 525, and you know the base down here, but you don't know the height. So since it's a parallelogram, we start with the parallelogram formula. Second step is to replace the variables with the numbers from the problem. So the area is 525, the base is 21, and we don't know the height. So from there, we're just going to solve this as if it is an algebraic equation like from our previous chapters. So we divide by 21 to both sides. By doing that, it's going to leave us with just the height on this right side of the equation, and my height should be equal to 525 divided by 21. So you're going to want to pause the video right now, do this work, figure out the problem, and then come back and check the answer. Okay, so you should be getting 25, and you have to make sure you label that with millimeters. And it's just millimeters, not millimeters squared, because it's a height, not an area. Okay, moving on, number 22. For this one, you have to find the shaded region's area. So if you notice, the shaded region is a rectangle, but it has a parallelogram inside that's not shaded. So in this kind of problem, we're going to start by finding the area of that rectangle, which is 25 by 11. So I multiply those two. Then I'm going to find the area of that parallelogram inside, which I see there is a 4 by 12. So you're going to multiply both of those areas, and then you're going to subtract the parallelogram since it's not shaded. So go ahead and pause the video, try that, and then come back and check your answer. Okay, so for the rectangle, in red up here, you should be getting an area of 275 square feet. And down on the parallelogram, it should be 48. So to get your final answer, all you're going to do is 275 subtract 48, and that is going to give you your answer of 227 feet squared. Okay, so moving on, you have to flip a few pages here, go to page 679. So this page is all about triangles. So the first one, you're finding the area on number 15. So if you know how to do this, pause and then come back and check. But if you're not sure, follow along here. So since it's a triangle, we're going to use our triangle formula, which is base times height divided by 2. Second step is we'll look at your base, 25, multiplied by your height of 7, divided by 2. So you're going to want to calculate that right now. Pause the video and come back and check. Okay, so if you perform this problem in your calculator, you should be getting 87.5. And then don't forget to label. It's meters squared since it's an area. Okay, next problem is number 16. So this time you're trying to find the missing dimension of each triangle. So for that triangle, it says it's a height of 7 and area 21. So if you wanted to sketch a triangle, think about it. Here's the height, 7. We don't know the base, so it's kind of like our unknown right now. But we do know this area is 21. So this is one of the more difficult kinds of problems that we've done in this chapter. But to make it simple for you, since it's a triangle, just start with your triangle formula. Second step is to replace the variables in this formula with the numbers you know. So we know the area is 21. We know the height over here is 7. We still don't know the base, so it's base times 7. And then part of the formula is to divide by 2. So I'm going to leave divide by 2 in. So this part here is where we learned how to solve this is really what we call a two-step equation. So I want to get rid of this divide by 2. So to do that, we would multiply by 2. And that's what the parentheses 2 means. And if I do it to one side, I have to do it to the other side of my equation. Okay, my dark solid line is showing that I'm going to perform what I just did. Okay, this would cancel out the divide by 2 and times by 2, leaving you with just b times 7. Over here it's 21 times 2, and that's 42. So now you have an equation that is 42 equals b times 7. And to solve this equation, we would just divide by 7 to both sides and get b equals 6. So make sure to label that. It should be just 6, look up here, inches, because it's a base, not an area. Okay, moving on, next page. Oh, we gotta do one more there, number 17. Oh, let's see, that was 16. Okay, we're missing 17. So I'm gonna have you go all the way to page 691. Okay, following along on your checklist. This is number 17 here for trapezoid. So what we're doing here is find the area of this trapezoid. So again, you're gonna start with your trapezoid formula to find the area. And again, you know this is the trapezoid formula because this is the only shape with base 1 and base 2. So if you look over at the shape, the base 1 and base 2 are here, and it doesn't matter which one you call base 1, but those are your two bases. And then the 13.4 is your height. So your second step is going to be to just replace in your formula with the numbers. Okay, and again, this is all divided by 2. So right now, go ahead and try this math problem, pause the video, and then come back and check, see how you did. Okay, so hopefully you tried it and you're checking right now. So if you perform that in your calculator, you have to remember first you would do the addition in the parentheses, and that comes out to be 28, and then multiply that by 13.4, still all divided by 2. And then if you go again, you multiply 28 by 13.4, it's 375.2, still divided by 2. And then finally, if you divide that by 2, you get 187.6. And make sure to look back at the problem. Feet squared would be your answer. Okay, so moving down, number 19. So this time it says a trapezoid has an area of 18 square miles and the bases are 5 and 7 miles. So what is the height of the trapezoid? So since it doesn't give you a picture, if you want to sketch one in, that might help. So we know bases are 5, probably be up there, and 7. Make my dotted line for the height, and we don't know that. But we do know the area equals 18. So on this kind of problem, we're finding the missing height of a trapezoid. This is the one where we have that special formula just for a trapezoid's missing height. And this is that formula. So if that is enough help, why don't you pause the video and see if you can complete this. If not, I'm going to keep going through it. Okay, so my second step is going to be just to replace the variables in this formula with what I know. My area is 18, so it's going to be 2 times 18 divided by, and then my bases are 5 and 7, so 5 plus 7. Okay, next I'm going to just kind of simplify this, and I'm going to do 2 times 18, that's 36. 5 times 7 is 12. So what I have here is my height is equal to 36 divided by 12, which is 3. Okay, and when we label it, go back and look, we're talking about miles. And again, it's just miles because it's a height, not an area. Okay, moving on here. So next should be page 711, number 1819. So what you're doing here is graphing these to find the area. So when you graph these points, remember to say to yourself, over and then up or down. So my first point is negative 4, 1. So I should go over to negative 4, up to 1. Okay, try to label that with the letter G. Next is H, over 4, up 1. I, over 3, down negative 3. And then J, over negative 1, down negative 3. Okay, connect the dots, and you should be looking at a trapezoid. So it says to find the area. So I'm just going to use my trapezoid formula, which I need my bases. One base is on top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Another base is on the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I need my height, which goes straight through the figure. Oh, make it dotted line. Okay, and that looks like a height of 4. So my trapezoid formula is going to be 8 plus 4, because those are my bases. And then multiplied by 4, because that's my height, all divided by 2. Okay, so if I simplify that, that's 12 times 4, all divided by 2, which is going to be 48 divided by 2, which is 24. And then since it's on grid, we just call that units squared. Okay, try this last one here. So if you notice, there's only 3 points, so it should be a triangle. So negative 7, 2, x, negative 7, 6 is y, and negative 4, 2 is z. Okay, connect them, and you should be looking at this triangle. So from here, to get the area of that, you're just counting your base, which is 3, your height, which is 4, and you're doing 3 times 4 divided by 2, and that will give you the area. Okay, and don't forget, on triangles, we have to divide that by 2, because that's part of your formula. So that should be 6 units squared. Okay, moving on, page 723. Okay, the overlapping figure. So this is another problem. It's a little bit more difficult, but I'm going to explain what we do here. So when you have an overlapping area, such as this aquarium, you want to get rid of that area, or else it's going to be counted twice. Because what we're going to do is we're going to find the area of the reptile room and the amphibian arena as if they're both rectangles and add them up, and then subtract that aquarium. So I'm going to go through that work right now. So I'm going to start with the reptile room. We need the length, which is 83, and the width, 72. We'll do 83 times 72. Go ahead and pause the video and try this. Okay, so that should be 5,976. Okay, and then I'm going to change down here, different color. For the amphibian arena, notice its length and width is also 83 by 72. Kind of saves us the work there. So if I were to add those two up right now, what it's going to give me is the area of both those rectangles. But what's happening is the aquarium's counted twice. So add these up. Okay, so the 11,952 is both of these rectangles added up. But the issue is that this green area has been counted twice. So I need to get rid of that area, and then it'll be an accurate area of this whole aquarium. So what I look for here is I need the length of this side right here. So if I know the whole line should be 72, and that part's 52, I'm going to do 72 minus 52, and that is 20. So that tells me this length is 20 right here. Okay, I also need, change it to yellow, this yellow line, and I look up here and I know the whole line should be 83. This part's 32, so I'm going to do 83 minus 32. Change the font here. And that's 51. So that tells me this yellow line is 51. So I know that aquarium is a 51 by 20. So to find its area, I'm going to do 51 times 20. And that is, maybe want to pause the video so you can do this. Okay, so we're getting 1,020. So now all I'm going to do is I'm going to take those two numbers and subtract them. So go ahead and try that, and that should be your area. Okay, if you subtract those, pause the video, try that. Okay, so if you're subtracting those, you should be getting 10,932 feet squared. Okay, moving on, page 724, number 16. Okay, this one you shouldn't need too much help with, but I'll go through it so you can check when you're done, if needed. So it says the shaded part of the grid represents the plans for a fish pond. Each square on the grid represents 5 square feet. So fill in the boxes to complete each statement. So first, there are blank full squares in the pond. So what you're going to want to do is go to the pond and count how many full squares. I like to put a little mark in them. Okay, so go ahead and do that. Pause the video. Okay, so if you count those all, I got 30 full squares. So this would represent an area of how many square feet?